tune with our bodies as we are, since we're using them so much, sometimes we can be the worst offenders for being really disconnected from our bodies. I mean, have any of you, or is it just me, gone to a massage therapist, and when he or she rubbed a certain spot, you're like, oh my God, I had no idea that was going on. Raise your hand if you're confessing. Great. Great. And what is that about? How does that happen?
Stress.
Stress?
Busy schedule. Not taking care of your body.
Yeah. Yeah. Stress, being busy, not taking care of yourself. Not wanting to admit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you tapped into something that was a bit of a light bulb moment for me as I was thinking about today. Do you guys remember the need scope model? I don't know if they'll know those words, but you know where you lay out all the programs for Les Mills, and in certain quadrants you've got power and strength for things like pump, and energy for other things, and so on. And from what I understand, and just chatting casually with Kristen, a number of Woodstock folks anyway are all about power. And what are some other words in those?
Power, perfection.
Perfection. Yes.
There is renewal at the bottom with some body flow.
Yes.
And some CX works, but for the large part we sit on the one side of the scope, and not very much on the sociability scope.
Right.
Driven team.
Yes. Was that a comment toward you? I don't know. The lack of sociability over here. Now, I don't see the lack of sociability, but I certainly do see and relate to this commitment to strength and power and going and energy. And that's that very thing, that thing that actually feeds us, that strength of ours, can also be the thing that bites us right in the butt. And that makes us feel like, well, we aren't allowed to need renewal. We aren't supposed to actually have a bad day, feel weak, vulnerable. I've had my moments anyway, and certainly when we're doing what we do in the clubs, and you know, Pat just talking about keeping things clean, very important for member experience, but what's important from our perspectives in terms of the member experience? What is expected of us as Group X instructors? What do we want members to see? Professionalism?
Perfection.
Perfection. Yeah, back to perfection. No pressure. We're supposed to be perfect. We're not supposed to get tired. We're not supposed to need care. We're just supposed to give it. And give it and give it and give it. So, on the heels of a release week, when we've all been given it, I think I want to take a moment to just start giving a bit back to ourselves. And that's where I was going when I was just saying, okay, how do you really feel when Kristen says, job well done? Or when you see the faces of the people that you've given so generously to on that screen. For me, my common feeling, at least in that moment, I wanted to cry. Anyone else want to cry? Is it just... Yeah, a little. What do you think that is for you?
I don't know. It's a good feeling. It's a good cry.
Yes.
It's emotional.
Yeah. It's release, maybe. Release week. Yeah, so this is where we get to release now. What other feelings came up?
I think pride, like proud, being proud of, you know, ourselves, being proud of the members, right?
Satisfaction. I think it's glad to be part of this team. Yeah. It's fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That sense of belonging. That's so important for all of us.
Sometimes when you're getting release week, you're thinking, oh man, for me, this is the only time I feel stressed. Why? So you see that and think, that's why.
Thanks for the segue. Yeah, so that's where I was coming from with today, is going back to where we were the last time we had a meeting in June-ish. Kristen was saying, I actually missed ours because I was in Italy finding my wine. Or my wine. But I know that most of you got acquainted with this notion of finding your why, the Simon Sinek video on the successful businesses, and I would venture to say successful people, understand what their why is, and they communicate their why in everything that they do. To remind you and to introduce the concept to those of you who haven't seen it, Simon Sinek draws this thing he calls the golden circle. And he talks about how most businesses actually communicate their business, their marketing, from the outside in. For example, a company like Dell, what does Dell do? What do they do, Kristen? You were talking about how it always shows up.
They make computers.
Dell makes computers. How do they make computers? Well, they might say they select the finest Intel processors and chips and make things look uniform. I don't work for Dell. Why does Dell do what they do?
Make money.
Make money? I honestly don't know. Now, the competitor, who would be a competitor? Oh, Nicole says. So who are you thinking? Apple. Right. So Apple. Apple is a great example of a company who starts with why rather than what. So the why for Apple is something around, challenging the status quo. Apple is committed to doing things differently. I mean, remember the whole logo or the tagline of think different. So Apple's all about doing things new, better, different, right? How do they do that? Well, they make elegantly designed things, computers, along with other things that are based on human intuition, blah, blah, blah. And what do? Well, they happen to make computers. But it's the fact that they start with that why. The thing that they do, the thing that matters to them is what allows us to buy a whole lot more than just a computer from them. Makes us drink the Kool-Aid or the apple juice, as I like.
As soon as you said Apple, Nicole said, I know that.
They focus on the emotion though too, and I think that's huge.
Yes. Any good marketing is all about getting in touch with the emotive drivers of the consumers that you're working with. And likely, there's something in the programs that you teach that appeal to your emotions in particular. There's something in that that speaks to your own why. Why do you do what you do? And the great line that this Simon Sinek guy uses when he's doing this presentation that always stays with me is that people do not buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So people aren't buying you because you're up here delivering a class. Why are they here? Each of them have their own whys. But for right now, in this moment, I want you to think about why you are. So, take a moment and think back whether it was this past release week or another time. You've all been here or on another stage, the community nearby. Can you take yourself there in your mind? See yourself on stage. See who's out in front of you. Now, start at your toes. And I just want you to do a really quick little scan of how you're feeling in your body. How do your feet feel? Grounded? Or maybe a little right? How do your legs feel? What's your chest doing? Shoulders? Each of you will have your own experience with this. What words come to mind for you? Anyone want to share anything? I can start. So for me, I can see myself, I'm punching as opposed to kicking. For those of you who don't know, I'm a combat girl. So, which has a whole lot to do with why. And so I see myself in a nice strong stance. Right? So part of what my why is I believe that everyone has the need to express themselves, to express all aspects of themselves, whether that's strong and powerful and anger, or elation, or silliness. My why as a Group X instructor is about providing a space where everyone can be who they are and all that they are, and maybe even get in touch with parts of themselves that they don't normally get in touch with. And that's where the why for me in body combat really comes in, particularly for women, because that's a place where women get to come, and it's okay to be strong, it's okay to be fierce, it's even okay to be angry. Can you know what it's except for when that So, does that example help you to think about what your why is? That's just my personal example. But, and I know some of you spent some time in the last meeting thinking about what your whys were. Does anyone remember, or have you had an opportunity to think more about what it is that you believe in so much that you'll come back here time and time again, even when you're exhausted, even when you're high on Advil? I know Kristen's done that many days, right? Push through illness, injury. Erica? Not too
Just right here.
right? And I'm sure there are other offenders, right? How many of you have taught and pushed through even when you thought you could never do it? Right? You went through training. That would be enough. Yeah. So what is it about that? What is it that you believe? And what is it that you're committed to? Yes.
Even though it may not look like it now, but when I was growing up, I was painfully shy. Like, so shy that I would cower behind my mother and cry if somebody would talk to me, or, you know, if the teachers would talk to me at school, I'd shut right down and stuff. So, for me, when I found instructing, I found, that just because I was shy as a kid doesn't mean that that's who I have to be all my life. So I see a lot of people, a lot of other members who are, probably the same, where they come and they're quiet, they don't know anybody, and they're a little scared and stuff like that. So, it's kind of, for me, it's the, look where I was and look where I came, and look what I've become. And I'm still growing, and I'm still changing, and all these things, and I want to be able to help other people do the same thing. So I think that's, for me, that's one.
Anyone else?
I think, there are people who really, they depend on us. They